Kanagiri Educational Management Program now present Social Studies Chapter 18 Emerging Political Trends 1977 to 2000, of which the topic being economic liberalization. Economic liberalization. In 1991, when the VP Singh government fall, it was quite a short period. India was facing very serious economic crisis. It reserve of foreign currency with which it repaid its loans and paid for import, virtually money exhausted during that period when he left the. And then what has happened with the results? Difficult in payment of foreign countries. So it is interesting to note economic liberalization now. And then P.V. Narasimha Rao is known as father of economic liberalization. Today being his birthday, I thought of presenting this chapter for the benefit of the students. P.V. Narasimha Rao of Pamulaparthi Venkata Narasimha Rao served as the Prime Minister of India between 1991 and 1996. He is best known for introducing sweeping economic reforms that liberalized the Indian economy. Again, I am repeating, he was the father of the economic liberalization, and then he has introduced sweeping economic reforms that liberalized the Indian economy, and the subsequent prime ministers are following him. Government realized and went for IMF International Monetary Fund loan in the year 1992. When the new Congress government under P.V. Narasimha Rao was initiated, Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao negotiated with IMF International Monetary Fund to tide over the crisis. He laid down, basically when we take some loan from any place, they have certain norms. The IMF also laid down certain stringent conditions like called structural adjustment program, forcing India to accept policy of liberalization because there was no other way, and then they thought of taking the loan, and then they thought of following the whatever the rules they have framed. So now policy of liberalization conditions what they have put for sanction of the loan: drastic reduction of government expenses and reducing cut in subsidies to farmers, expenditure in public service like health, etc. I think they told, we need to reduce the subsidies first. Reducing restrictions and taxes on import of foreign goods, and then they further stressed not to impose on import of foreign goods taxes. Reducing taxes, reducing restrictions on foreign investment in India. So they have they can come and invest in India, foreigners. And then interestingly, telephone, banking, airlines, etc. to private investment. I think they earlier these were government monopolies, basically telephone, banking and airlines, and then it has been privatized, and then it was really the monopoly of the government. These liberalization measures brought in foreign goods and forced Indian business to compete with the global market. Naturally, because the competition was very global competition, and then Indian manufacturers, and then they have to compete with equally to the foreign goods. It also led to selling up of industries and business by foreign companies in India. They have also started setting up industries and business by foreign companies in India. However, it was being hardship to the common man, a naturally common man, because there was no subsidies and other thing, and the government forced to cut down all the subsidies, and many as a result of it, many factories were closed due to the influx of cheap foreign goods. Because when the liberation was there, and then people used to buy the cheap goods of foreign goods, and then privatization of public amenities like education, health, and transport has also privatized. There is no option left. People had to pay high prices to private service providers because there was no option left to them, and then they have to pay hefty price. 21st century closed with an India which has drawn into the world market as India, which seemed to have a thriving democracy, which voices of different sections of the population. Because after PV, because of PV, I think everyone has realized, and then world market, and then India also stood in the competition. With the results, people were making themselves hard, and in which division and communal political mobilization were threatening to destroy social peace, because there was some kind of unrest. It had stood the test of time for over 50 years and had built a relatively stable economy and deeply rooted democracy. Because we should appreciate, I think India has really had a deeply rooted democratic politics. Because we have seen the earlier government, they could not able to stabilize, and then within 2 years or 3 years, and then they have to go for fresh elections. It has happened, and then it still had not managed to solve the problems of, because in spite of 50 years, I am talking about this chapter, and then there was acute poverty, gross inequalities between caste, community, and the region, and even with the gender as well. There was acute poverty, inequalities. I think there is between caste is there, it is community is there, and then region is there, and then even with the gender. This being the actual picture of the legacy of 50 years of post-independence of 21st century. Now, when we conclude this chapter on economic liberation, Indian democracy able to withstand numerous challenges, and in the process it has strengthened itself. So there is no doubt it has the democracy setup has been stabilized and strengthened further. It was called a successful, and many indications, like what was the indication? First being the free, fair, and regular elections and voter turnouts, and then there was huge voter turnouts in each elections. Government turnovers, and then subsequent governments, and the new government has come, and then we have seen in many cases all these years unstable government turnout, and then fresh election has been taken place. Empowerment of new groups, new people have come, new parties have come, maintenance of essential civil liberties, and all these, I think, indication all of successful democratic setup. Now we have questions. Naturally, we need to ask also. I think why it could not take over despite being continuous democracy. I think many people, common people, may ask, and then even everyone will ask, what could be the reason? Why it has failed in protecting the well-being of the people? These are the basic problems I think we need to address. Because I am dealing with this chapter, I think we are far better when compared to the now. I think world has recognized us. Our scientists, and then our people have the better talents, and then India has been recognized very well. There is no doubt about the India. People are watching India. People one day definitely will show its strength to the people of the world. Even this COVID also, India stood united and then shown what India is. Before that, I think it is better we study about P.V. Narasimha Rao, because today's being the birth anniversary, centenary celebration has been organized by the Telangana government. I thought of dedicating this lesson to him today. And then father of economic liberalization. General election were held in India in 1991 to elect the members of the 10th Lok Sabha. The result of the election was that no party could get a majority, so a minority government, Indian National Congress, with the help of left parties, was formed, resulting in a stable government for the next 5 years under the new Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao. P.V. Narasimha Rao or Pamulapati Venkata Narasimha Rao served as the Prime Minister of India between 1991 and 1996. He is best known for introducing sweeping economic reforms that liberalized the Indian economy. Son of Sri P. Rangarao, Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao was born on June 28, 1921 at Karimnagar. He studied in Usmania University, Hyderabad, Bombay University and Nagpur University. Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao is the father of 3 sons and 5 daughters. He was the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh between 1971 to 73. So, he knows 14 languages. He speaks. He is a very good artist, soft-spoken person. I think we rarely see such people. He belongs from Telangana of Karimnagar district, from Telugu states. A man of many interests, he likes music, cinema and theatre. His special interest lies in Indian philosophy and culture, writing fiction and political commentary, learning language, writing poems in Telugu and Hindi, and keeping abreast of literature in general. So I just thought of, I think this has been taken today from Vice President of India. He has mentioned about P.V. Narasimha Rao. I think this is in Telugu. I will read out in Telugu. భారత మాజీ ప్రధాని తెలుగు బిడ్డ శ్రీ పివి నరసింహారావు గారి జయంతి సందర్భంగా వారి స్మృతికి నివాళులు అర్పిస్తున్నాము. సాహితీవేత్తగా, సామాజికవేత్తగా, రాజనీతిజ్ఞుడిగా, బహుముఖ ప్రజ్ఞాశాలిగా, భాషా కోవిదుడిగా వారు చేసిన కృషి చిరస్మరణీయం. క్లిష్ట పరిస్థితుల్లో ప్రధాని పీఠాన్ని అధిరోహించిన సమర్థతను ప్రదర్శించి ఆర్థిక సంస్కరణలకు రాచబాట వేశారు. సమైక్య ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ ముఖ్యమంత్రిగా, వివిధ శాఖల మంత్రిగా, విద్య, భూ సంస్కరణల కోసం వారు తీసుకున్న చొరవ చాలా గొప్పది. భారతీయ భాషల అభివృద్ధి కోసం వారి తపన, ప్రాథమిక విద్య మాతృభాషలో ఉండేలా తీసుకున్న చర్యలు, అధికార భాషా సంఘము తెలుగు అకాడమీ ఏర్పాటులో తీసుకున్న చొరవ ప్రశంసనీయం. వారి నిరాడంబర జీవితము ఆదర్శనీయం. ప్రతిష్టాత్మక 1000 పడుగులు నవలను హిందీలోకి అనువదించడమే కాకుండా పలు తెలుగు కవితా సంపుటాలను ఆంగ్లంలోకి అనువదించారు. తెలుగుదనానికి ప్రతీకైన శ్రీ పివి నరసింహారావు గారి స్మృత్యర్థం ఏడాది పొడుగునా వారి శతజయంతి ఉత్సవాలను జరపాలన్న తెలంగాణ ప్రభుత్వ నిర్ణయము అభినందనీయము. ఇది మన గౌరవ వైస్ ప్రెసిడెంట్ డాక్టర్ వెంకయ్య నాయుడు గారు ఆయనకు తెలిపినటువంటి విషయాన్ని నేను ఇక్కడ విద్యార్థుల కోసం పొందుపరచడం జరిగింది. చివరిగా మనం ఈరోజు పివి నరసింహారావు బర్త్డే సెంటనరీ సెలబ్రేషన్ సందర్భంగా గుర్తు ఉంచుకున్నాము. ఈ పాఠానికి వారిని అంకితం చేద్దాము. థ్యాంక్ యూ. బెస్ట్ ఆఫ్ లక్ స్టూడెంట్స్.